going on, people? I am Big Sam. I want to extend an invitation to a few musicians. Now, I ain't gonna say no names, but if you got some things that you want to say, discuss, clear up, vent, whatever the case may be, text me 931 216 5530. A couple of you, I'm going to extend an invitation to come to my house, sit down on this couch, and let's talk about some things. Clear the air. It could be some stuff that you want to clear the air with me, or some stuff you want to clear the air in general about the music scene in the CSRA. I understand a lot of people have some mixed feelings about me. I get it. I really do. I also understand a lot of people don't really know me. I understand that as well. I'm not going to try to convince you to see me outside of just a drummer. That's up to you. I don't want to do any of the mind game stuff and try to convince you, oh, look at me in this way. How you look at me is how you look at me. And if you choose to focus on a negative, I can't control that. If you choose to focus on positive and grow, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? We come from different walks. We have very different perspectives. All of us do. I'm sitting up here using my phone because I'm going to upload the audio on the podcast. So I just dropped my phone. But we come from very different perspectives, very different experiences throughout life and the music industry, right? I don't discredit people's experiences. I might say, I've never experienced that. Now, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Why people choose to think that that's what I'm saying, I have no idea. Unfortunately, that has happened. I might not agree with the idea that you have. That doesn't mean that the idea won't work. And that doesn't mean that you and I should have a problem. I just don't agree with it. I have every right not to agree with it. I can't agree with everything that you want to do. To me, it's not a deal breaker. It's not a reason for us to have any kind of problems or quarrels, you know. I just don't agree with you. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with you. And for the most part, 7.5 times out of 10, I'll give my perspective. Okay? But I don't have a desire to change your mind. I'm not into the whole mental manipulation stuff. I come from a religious background, and there was a time in my life recently, within the past several years, in the past few years, just before I moved to Georgia, I was about to take on a larger position inside of a church, more of a leadership position in teaching and teaching the word and stuff like that. And during the course of that process, I had to get in the word more and understand it a lot more so that I can apply it appropriately in situations that I would be facing. And during the course of that, my personal discovery, again, I'm not trying to convince anyone. This is just my personal discovery. I understand what's up you need to deal with. Okay, whatever. Just being transparent about my personal discoveries. I realized a lot of things that goes on inside of ministry has to deal with therapy and mental health. So it's about distracting a person's emotion from whatever they're dealing with in that moment and getting them to refocus on something positive, the cross, Christ, whatever, as well as making sure the business, the church, gets compensated for it. You know, it's just like if you went to a therapist, you're going to get billed. You might not pay cash right then in that moment, but you're going to get billed. Well, in the church, if we sow into you, I say we at the time, if we sow into you, ministry, counseling, all of that stuff, it's an investment with the hope that you're going to want to take us as your therapist and start tithing and off giving us offering. It's all a business. Now, I'm not saying that the ministry I was in was doing this. This is how my brain processed everything and put everything in perspective. And on top of all of that, I didn't believe the things that I was reading in the Bible. So my brain started to think this is all about manipulation. How do I manipulate people into doing what I want them to do? And the way of doing that is you constantly say the same thing. If the people keep hearing the same voice and the same message, it's like the same way you teach a dog, the same domestication process, repetitive, muscle memory. You keep hearing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. That voice is gonna get planted in their head, and then you'll always have the seed planted in your mind. So I might not be explaining it the way I'm thinking it, but anyway, that's how the preachers do it in a nutshell. Now, most preachers, they might not admit it because they're going to say, well, the Lord directs me and all this other stuff. Okay, I get all that. But if you think about it, you have Bible study once a week and you have church service once a week. The preacher is preaching every Sunday. You hear the same voice every Sunday teaching the same message, just different perspectives, different angles. They cycle through the same series, same groups of series, just again from different angles. I mean, ain't but so many books in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? And it's repetitive. It's repetitive. And then you get attached to the presentation and the voice. And so mentally you're replaying it, you're hearing it. Some people go buy the CD or get a CD or whatever, or revisit it on YouTube or on the live stream or whatever. So it's a constant training of your brain to hear this one leader or a group of leaders' voices, and you're following their instructions. And subconsciously or unconsciously, whatever you want to call it, when you move out throughout your life, you don't really get rid of those voices. They become a part of you, and they're very influential in you. So understanding all of that, I didn't want to be a guy that gets into it because I know my personality. I can get very addicted to that stuff and start doing some very destructive things in people's lives because of my influence that I have, because of my voice, whatever influence it will have on them. So if I've avoided it, I've really avoided it. Moving forward, as I don't vlog a lot about a particular issue because, again, I don't want it to become, in my mind, I just haven't wanted to be me manipulating people to believe in what I believe and then building a company off of that manipulation. I don't see how I can sustain that. Granted, it might be my truths, but I'm not coming from a sincere place because I'm using deception to build all of that. I'm very, very aware. I'm very cognizant of the more I speak and voice my opinions and thoughts, there are people that are going to hear it and agree with it, and they're going to want to support it. I'm very aware of that. My struggle is for myself, not taking that influence or power or whatever, energy, vibe, and misusing it, you know, using it in a destructive way. So it's extremely imperative for me to build with a team. Now, when I say team don't mean a bunch of people saying yes to everything I want to do. That ain't a team. That's not a team, in my opinion. When our team is, you already have something going on before we met. So let's run together, and you continue to build what you build. And if it falls in line with what I'm building, then we'll figure out ways to support each other and to make sure you come up as well as I come up, or I come up as well as you come up. We come up together. I'm not asking people to stop what they got going on. But I am asking to stop doing it the way that you were doing it if it's not growing. How you gauge growth and how I gauge growth are very, very different. So there will be some tension in those regards, which I get all that. I tend to be extremely patient when it comes to music business. I've been at this for about, in Augusta, since I moved to the CSRA, excuse me, about 2.5 years. So, and I'm still waiting. But to build, we got to communicate and we got to get in the game. We can't just sit on the sideline and talk or have in passing conversations on Facebook. At some point, you got to put up or shut up. Okay. Now, if you want to take it back to a spiritual reference, people say, "Well, let me pray about it." Well, I don't understand that, because your mama done prayed for you, your grandmama done prayed for you, your great grandmama done prayed for you, the usher board done prayed for you, the motherboard done prayed for you, every Sunday school teacher that you done had done prayed for you your whole life. You in your 30s, you got years invested in the prayer. I don't understand, how much more prayer do you really need? And if it ain't worked the past 30-something years, 60-something years, 100-something years, that's been prayer been going on and praying over you and for the generations and all that other stuff. And if it ain't worked now or since then, why is you still trying? At some point, you got to get up off your knees and stop begging. You got to get up off your knees, stop begging, and put some work in. That's just my perspective. Again, I'm not here to convince you. If you feel like you got to pray, that's cool. At some point, when you decide to get some action in your life, we can reconnect, we can revisit, and we'll try to run. Again, I don't have a problem waiting. But me waiting doesn't mean I stop. I'm still going to build. Me waiting means I'm going to continue building. And when you get in a better space, or when our paths recross, we will retry. If we can't, we'll do it again. You know what I'm saying? Wait till a later time. At some point, our paths will reconnect. If we both stay in music, our paths will reconnect. The industry is very, 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 very tiny. It's tiny. And the more successful you become, the smaller it gets. So, we will reconnect. You know what I'm saying? My rant and rave is about over with. I don't have any scripts when I come on these things or when I do my podcast. I just talk from my head and from the heart. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm inviting, if you got something you want to clear your chest or whatever, or you trying to build a documentary, or you want to get into vlogging, text me 931-216-5530 and we'll chop it up. Now, don't text me, "Hey, I want in," and I'm just gonna say, "Yeah, come on." You gotta hold a conversation. You gotta hold a conversation. Let me double talk, contradict myself. We're gonna have to adjust the communication in the CSRA, the lack thereof. It's pathetic. Communication is a fluid, active thing. Okay, you speak, I listen. you stop speaking and you start listening, I speak. And it goes back and forth. It's not an argument. If we don't understand, have patience with each other and a willingness to hear and open our understanding so that we can understand. Now, we may not always understand every single thing. Let's not have it be a deal breaker or hang up in the building of our relationships. It takes time. Every relationship takes time to build, grow, and cultivate. We don't know each other's vernacular. We don't know each other's temperaments. We don't know each other's triggers. We don't know the things that makes each other's happy. Our likes and dislikes. So it takes time. If I say something that offends you, how the hell was I supposed to know it offended you? It offended you. So obviously there's something in you that is bothering. So there's something you got to deal with. That don't mean I did it on purpose. I don't know you, motherfucker. Oh, my bad. I cuss. The point is, we got to build. It's going to take time, but we can do it. So I'm extending my resources. And look, I ain't no editor. So before you come over here talking that crazy talk, if you dope at editing and you like to edit, let's work together. I got some gear. I got some software. It ain't my thing. Okay? If it's your thing, we work together. I can help promote your work. I can help spread your work. I can help get you work. You know, how you handle the business side. If you staying independent, that's on you. Don't come at me because you jacked up some deal. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Now, if we partnering, we can have a nice discussion on that. Vibe with me. I'm Big Sam.